Hey folks, welcome to FiddleHed, Fiddle Lessons. Think of this lesson as a cross between learning a fiddle tune and a technique exercise, but we're just going to do it in kind of a fun and focused way. It's the first in a series of tuneful exercises I'm creating for fiddle students. I'm just calling it the Fiddler's Playground. So now that you've seen it and heard it, let's learn how to do it. In this particular Fiddler's Playground adventure exercise tune, not even sure what it is. It's sort of structured like a fiddle tune, know that. There's an A part and a B part. In this one, we're going to practice string crossing, so going from one string to another. And we're going to do that on the D major scale. Once you learn how to do this though, you can easily do this fiddle tune on a different string, either on G or on D or on A, starting on A. Okay, so what else do you need to know before we start? Well, just like learning any fiddle tune, I recommend warming up with the D major scale. You can continue warming up with different variations, rhythms, slur patterns, anything just to keep you playing the scale and keeps your brain kind of interested too. Okay, so now we're just gonna dive into this exercise, and like a fiddle tune, it's broken down into quarters. There's an A part and a B part, each broken into quarters. Each quarter in this tune is only a bar long. So we're gonna start with the first quarter with flow. And now more broken down. So that's open D to A twice, then D1 to open A twice. If you're able to hold down that first finger, that's a good thing to be able to practice with this. If that's impossible, you may want to work on it, but you can also lift for now. But being able to hold that down, you'll be able to play faster. And the same applies for the rest of this exercise. So that's the first quarter. Also the first bar. And I want you to think of that as the core exercise. Now the way I've structured this on the FiddleHed page is that each bar or each quarter has its own play along track, because each one of those those parts it could be practice on its own. So in that way, I like to think of this whole idea of the Fiddler's Playground as like a series of little exercises, like modular exercises, like Legos. We can glue them together into a big tune, but then we can break them apart because maybe there'll be one that's a short one that's really hard for you, and then you'll see, oh yeah, I gotta practice the third quarter a lot. And in that way, your technique will improve. I tried to write this though so that it was kind of fun. It sounded more like a tune. So we'll move through the rest of this Fiddler's Playground exercise more quickly. Let's do the second quarter of the A part. Broken down, starting D2 up. Again. Okay, so that's the second quarter. Third quarter of the A part. So I want to pause and just say that if you learn the first quarter, this is just kind of the reverse of that. So the first quarter was going from D to A string. Now we're going to go from A to D string, but use the same notes. So we're going to start open A, D, A, D, A, D, 1. It's kind of like flipping, it's just changing the direction of where we go with the bow. So I'm just going to do it up close for you. So starting A, D, A, D, A, D, 1, A, D, 1. All right, again. So that's the third quarter of the A part. Let's do the fourth quarter. So the fourth quarter of the A part is just like the same notes as the second bar, but again, now we're going from A to D string. So we're gonna go A, D to A, D to A1, D3, A1, D3. I'll do it more broken down for you. Again, if you can hold down the second and then the first and third. Might be hard, so be kind to yourself, do what you can. The goal is really always to make something sound good. If you can't do a certain technique, ask yourself, how can I simplify it for now so that it'll sound good now? And just kind of assuming that you're gonna stay with it, you're gonna continue to fiddle and learn, and it's over a long period of time. Just take the long view, and then eventually you'll be able to do a more advanced version of it. All right, but for the moment, I want you to enjoy what you're doing, because I think you will keep going that way. You come out of this with something that sounds good. Even if you only do that first quarter, but it starts to sound good, loop. Each one of these quarters you can loop on, and I recommend doing that. Each one of these quarters or bars has something valuable that you could stay with a long time. Okay, so assuming you do all that, you get really into it, you practice all that, you can then put it together either in the first half or the whole A part. So now let's just have you practice the whole A part with a play along track. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so if you found that track to be useful, head on over to the FiddleHed page for the Fiddler's Playground lesson. There's a link in the YouTube description below. I've got 13 more play-along tracks, and they'll be available for a week after publish date. Cool, thanks for your support. All right, before we learn the B part, let's pause to just pay attention to how we practice. There's a strategy I use that I call micro practice. It's kind of a philosophy of going deep on little things. And part of the micro practice process is to get small. It's like using a microscope. I don't know if you remember that from biology. You look at one part of something, and then you up the power to even blow up a smaller thing. And after you've done that, you go back and you look at the whole thing. So we can, once you've done that on one part, say the first quarter of this exercise. go really deep on, or maybe it's the adding the finger that's hard. That part. Anyway, once you've done that for the different modules or the different bars or quarters or whatever, you've done all the little work, then you start to put together these Legos into a bigger piece. And then hopefully through this process, it sounds a little bit better. 10% better, that's a good day. Okay, so now let's learn the B part to the Fiddler's Playground. Broken down. Again. So we're starting going from D2 to A3, and then D1 to A2. Now let's do the second quarter of the B part. Broken down. Again. All right, now let's do the third quarter of the B part. For this, we're now gonna do the same kind of flipping we did with the A part. So we'll take the notes from the first bar or the first quarter and do those, instead of going D string to A string, we're gonna go A string to D string. So this kind of points out the fact that, and this applies to all fiddle tunes, that if you learn the first bar or the first quarter well, it often kind of pays interest as you go out, like compound interest as you go throughout the tune, because it's reused over and over again. So if you learn that one thing well, it's going to really ease your path. So anyway, let's do the third quarter of the B part with flow. Broken down, we're going to start A3 going to D2. Cool, now let's do the fourth quarter of the B part. This is like the second quarter of the B part, but we're going from A to D string again with flow. Broken down. All right, so you have the entire tune, and I'll just close by saying that once you've mastered it, and again, don't rush it, if you just get the core exercise, you've gotten kind of the meaty center of this down. Sorry, vegetarians. I'm actually mostly vegetarian. So that core exercise, which is the first bar of the A part, it's is the key. So if you master that and then get this whole thing, then you can start to extend the practice of it in a lot of ways. You can start to add bowings. So like slur 2. So I'm gonna do on the FiddleHed site, I'm gonna have an additional lesson on how to practice these. I'm gonna have sheet music and play along tracks and full 9 yards for this to make sure you get it. So thank you for watching. If you found the video to be fun, useful, entertaining, then hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bells. All right, thanks again for watching. See you next time. Go to FiddleHed.com for a progressive step-by-step course outline, color-coded tabs, play-along tracks, sheet music, and much more. Thanks for watching the video. Excellent. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.